Alright, so, I get it. Some of you are going to be mad about this one. You don't like the mode, and that's understandable. I don't like it either. But whether we like it or not, the reality is, MyFaction or some variation of it is very likely going to be returning in WWE 2K23, so the least that we can do as a community is provide some positive feedback about it that will hopefully cause 2K to take this mode in a direction that we will actually enjoy. Now, if you ask me, MyFaction has 3 fundamental problems. Its first problem is how uninteresting it is to the wider community. We obviously don't know how many people are playing this game mode, as 2K doesn't release those numbers. But I bet if those numbers were good, we would see them. But what we can actually see is that hardly anyone in our vast WWE games community is really doing anything with this mode. No one is making videos about it on YouTube month to month, no one is streaming it weekly on Twitch. In fact, the only time that you see people talking about the mode is when modders are extracting content from it to allow players to use it in other modes. And that brings me nicely into problem number 2, and that is the fact that MyFaction locks new superstar models behind it, making them exclusive for the mode. That means even if you go through the grind of unlocking that new character model in MyFaction, you can still only use that model within MyFaction itself and not the rest of the game. I mean, just whose idea was this? In theory, this was obviously done to try and attract players to play this mode, but you completely remove the majority of people's reason to play when you make it so they can't use that unlockable elsewhere. By doing that, you took a mode that people were just indifferent about, like say, the new MyGM mode, but now you've given them a reason to hate and be upset about the mode because it's actively doing something that in the player's eyes could be a lot better for everyone involved. The final fundamental problem with MyFaction to me, and this one is the big one, is that the developers haven't done anything to communicate with their community to make this situation any better. MyFaction, from day one, has been a flop. People had complaints about it within 24 hours of the game releasing, and after about a week or two, it had completely left the main conversation, except obviously when they release exclusive content into the mode, but we won't go down that tangent again. Instead of doing something to address the concerns and issues of the mode, 2K have just continued to march on the same roadmap that they laid out for themselves prior to the game's release, and no matter how much we complained about this, or said that we'd like to see better, they just stuck to their guns and didn't budge an inch, while at the same time, continued to release new cards into the mode each and every month without a care in the world for anyone's problems. It really was the dog in the house on fire meme brought to life. It was crazy. And that's been a big problem with WWE games as a whole for years now. I don't know if it's because of something coming from WWE themselves, but whoever is developing the game just has a really bad track record at being a developer that is good at communicating with their community. If you look at most other big game studios, if something goes wrong with their game and the whole community is talking about it and bringing attention to the issue, then that studio will usually give some sort of response to it, whether it's through an official video on their main channels, or just a developer responding on Twitter. It's really just a common courtesy to the people who invest so much money and time into your games, so it's become increasingly frustrating over the years to see certain developers not catch up with the times in this modern era of gaming. So, with those being the 3 main problems, those are the 3 main things that I'd start with addressing. They need to do something to make this mode more appealing to the wider community, and by adding just a couple of things, I think they could address both of their first 2 problems quite easily. Firstly, and I've been saying this ever since before the game came out, MyFaction needs to be online. You need to be able to go in, create your faction, and then use that faction online against your friends, not only in friendly exhibitions, but in tournaments, ladders, special weekly and monthly events, and so on. This is a huge thing missing from this mode's experience, and by adding it, you will immediately attract a large number of people who are already playing other modes throughout the game. On top of that, and this could solve problem number 2, you need to take whatever unlockable content you want to put in this mode and make that playable across the entire game. All you've done by not doing that is create a black market with the modders of our community. People don't play MyFaction to get the character, they just wait for the character to be released onto CC and covered on every large WWE Games YouTube channel. It would be insane to see that whole system continuing into WWE 2K23. And as far as solving their third problem, well, that's just going to be down to them. If they want WWE 2K23 to be another year where they release a game with a predetermined roadmap for 10 to 12 months, where they don't communicate or interact with their community about our issues, well then, that's just what they'll do. But if they want to make it a year where they actually communicate with us in a meaningful way to let us help them make a better game for everyone involved, well, they can do that too. The ball is in their court. The bottom line is, 2K clearly want this mode to be the center of attention when it comes to their game, and if you don't believe me, you're just not opening your eyes. What's the first thing you see when you turn on WWE 2K23? That's right, a giant MyFaction ad. If you click off that and go to the main menu, what do you see? Another giant MyFaction square. Got a notification that WWE game dropped a new tweet? Well, half the time it's a MyFaction tweet. And of course things are this way. It's not a surprise. This is the mode that has the pack store that lets you spend real life money. So of course 2K are going to want to go all in and trying to get people invested. But in my mind, they've made all of the wrong decisions to try and do that with WWE 2K22, so if they would take a different approach with 2K23, maybe based off some of the suggestions in this video, then we might end up with an experience that some people may actually want to play. So there you go guys, those are just some of the improvements that I would like to see made to MyFaction in WWE 2K23. Be sure to let me know what improvements you would like to see to this mode in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe for more WWE 2K23 coverage. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you soon for another one. Peace.
For years, you sat back in amazement and watched as countless legends from our community entered the most spectacular match the WWE Games world has ever seen. The FAM Royal Rumble! I don't need to tell you that this is a match like no other, man. It's the only battleground around that has the capacity to store such a stacked pool of talent, and now, for the first time in this event's history, you can become a part of it! FAM's opening up its doors and allowing one lucky member of our community to join in on the action and have their opportunity at becoming immortal by headlining Famniversary! I mean, that is, of course, if they manage to win the Royal Rumble match. So, do you want to be part of the FAM Royal Rumble? Here's how you can get involved. Step 1. Click on the link at the top of the video description. This will take you to a Google document that you will need to fill out. Step 2. You'll find the form to be broken down in 3 easy to follow sections, just 3. The first section will ask you for some basic contact information, so we can get in touch with you if you are chosen for the match. The second section will ask you for some details about the character you would like to submit for the actual event. And the final section is just a couple of small bonus questions, just so we can get an idea for some of your favorite moments from FAM in its entire history. And step 3, you filled out the form. All you need to do now is just sit back, relax, and wait for the FAM Royal Rumble to air. Tune into the show that will be premiered live on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/themovementxx in early 2023 to find out if you were the lucky person chosen to be part of the Rumble match. And there you have it. Seriously guys, look, it's as simple as that. Just follow these 3 simple steps, and before you know it, you'll be in the FAM Royal Rumble match right next to some of your favorite FAM superstars and some of the biggest legends this community has to offer. Good luck to everybody involved, and we can't wait to see who makes the cut.